It's Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm G Kline.
And this is It's Movie Time.
And it's the morning after the Oscars. We're still a little dreary-eyed. We got kept up late last night, but oh, it was so worth it.
Yeah, I have Ken here with me because I did not see the ceremony. I never do. Because he is just about as up on the films that were nominated as anybody, and I know pretty much about them too. So today we're going to talk about the awards and our observations about them, and then as we get toward our podcast back talk, we'll talk a little bit more about some of the controversies, some of the upsets, some of the kind of rocky stuff that a romantic industry loves. And so we'll do that. So we'll move toward that. Anyway, Ken, last night, the Oscars awarded an Asian-based film, Everything,
Everywhere, All at Once.
Right, I'm so glad you're here. And that took number one.
It took 7 Oscars, including most of the major Oscars. It was almost a clean sweep. The only thing in the majors it didn't get was Best Actor because it didn't have a nomination.
Okay.
It picked up Best Picture, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Director, and Best Original Screenplay.
All right, Ken. What is the big deal about this movie?
Oh my gosh. So the film came out in March, and that would normally make it a non-contender.
I know, I remember we were talking about it.
Yeah, usually your Oscar winners come out in October, November, so they're fresh. That's the season when all the tough Oscar contenders are going to be in the theaters fighting it out. This film came out in March, and Studio A24, which put it out, has supported it for the whole last year, keeping it in and out of theaters throughout the year as it's developed a cult following, apparently even among actors and performers.
Now, if you talk to some people, and they have seen this, because I believe is it streaming yet? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, some people who have seen it are just kind of questioning the whole thing, and I think it comes from the fact that there's so much going on in this, and I call it, maybe in my most benign term, a hot mess.
Well, the 2 gentlemen who wrote it said they started with a list of 500 ideas for the film and managed to pare it down to about 100. And at 100, it's still a very complicated, fast-paced film. There's a lot going on. It is, I believe, the first science fiction movie ever to win Best Picture. Okay. We've had fantasies win before. We had Return of the King from Lord of the Rings win. But I don't believe we've ever had a science fiction film pick up Best Picture before.
Yeah. We have had an Asian film.
We have had an Asian film win before.
We had Parasite,
which was a South Korean film.
Yes, just a few years ago.
Yeah. But this film, and the critics predicted this film was going to do well. It was favored to win Best Picture. It was Michelle Yeoh recently became favored to win. She passed Cate Blanchett as the favorite. It was not favored to pick up some of the production design and other awards that it picked up. So it did much better than even the critics predicted.
Well, for our more discerning viewers, what is there in it that's either literate or even romantic? Anything that you can put together thematically? Is it possible to give some heft?
I think it's a sign of what was going on throughout the evening last night, which was the Academy awarding originality. It's a very original film. Yes. I've not seen anything like this film before. And last night's ceremony, this is what seemed to come out again and again, is you didn't hear the big studios' names mentioned. You didn't hear Universal, Paramount, MGM, Disney. Those names weren't coming up. It was A24 and other small studios. So, well, it is films like Maverick and Avatar that have gotten people back in theaters. It is the original works. It is the new stuff, not the remakes or the franchise films, the sequels, that the Academy is rewarding. It is the films that are brand new, fresh, original ideas.
And I think what's happening here as well is there's a sense in the film, a sense of excitement. We do have a middle-aged woman who is trying to keep the tax person away from her laundromat. So in that very simple life, and trying to keep her marriage alive, she's suddenly thrust into several universes.
And what you just mentioned is just one of the 100 plot points in this film. You almost have to have a scorecard to keep track of what's going on. She has a daughter who is both her daughter and a a trans-dimensional supervillain. You have a husband who's a loving husband who's trying to understand this multiverse that he's caught up in. This is really how you do science fiction right. I mean, the film is very reminiscent of sci-fi films from the early '70s.
Yeah.
And the whole ceremony last night reminded me of the early '70s when we saw the major studios no longer coming up with great big
What do they
musicals.
call it? The new Hollywood.
Yeah, the new Hollywood, when you saw things like
Yes.
Easy Rider and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid made on small budgets, cleaning up at the box office way beyond the My Fair Lady and Dr. Doolittles that were bankrupting studios. And this is happening now. Smaller films by independent filmmakers are now becoming the thing that the Academy is wrapping their arms around, because they're not wrapping their arms around the big $200 million films.
I appeared on ABC Fox yesterday, that is on the morning before the Oscars, and we talked about 7 categories, and for the second year in a row, Ken, I got them all right.
Terrific.
I'm feeling very good about that, and for me and for WCBE. Now, one of the ones that I felt strongly about, that I felt might have been vulnerable, was the Best Actor category, which went to Brendan Fraser for The Whale. Yeah.
Against very stiff competition.
For what did we think might get it?
I was thinking it was going to go to Elvis. He gave a great performance, a role. It's always tough when you're trying to represent somebody who is so famous and whose every little mannerism is so well known.
Austin Butler. Yeah.
He did a terrific job, and I was a little concerned that might go to him, but no, Brendan Fraser, and it's very, very rare for the Best Actor to be from a film that was not nominated. For Best Picture.
And why that happens?
Extremely rare.
You and I have talked about this. Why that happens, I can't believe it. I thought it was a perfectly absorbing story, albeit it looked like it was a play.
Yeah.
And it's pretty.
And it was a play.
Yeah, and pretty narrow focus. A place, location.
They basically filmed the play. They added a fourth wall
and I think that kept people from voting for it, unfortunately.
And it had a very limited release.
Yes.
You had to kind of go out of your way to see the movie.
And he beat a favorite of ours, Colin Farrell.
He beat Colin Farrell, Banshees of Inisherin, and walked away with nothing, as I predicted was going to happen.
I know you did, I know.
Yeah, sadly, Tar walked away with nothing also, which was a little disappointing. I'd like to have seen Tar get acknowledged in some way.
Yeah, well, that takes us to the Best Actress category.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was going on that TV show, I told them that I told them I predicted Cate Blanchett would win for Tar. The day before, however, I changed my mind. When I looked at the cover of People magazine, which for our viewers is right there on our table, and I saw Michelle Yeoh on the front, I said, I have a feeling this movie is going to crush a lot of it, and one of them that's going to crush is going to be Michelle Yeoh.
Cate Blanchett was the favorite up till about 2 weeks ago, and then Everything Everywhere built more momentum, and Michelle Yeoh is very deserving. She did a great job. She should have been nominated for Crouching Tiger. She's done tremendous work up until now.
That's true.
And she was very.
But Ken, it's hardly nuanced work, don't you think? I mean,
I don't know. I think her performance in Crouching Tiger was phenomenal.
I did too. It was striking. But over the
performance-
years, as you're talking about it, I just don't find anything spectacular in her performances. Anything that where I would have said the same thing, although I respect what you're saying.
Yeah.
She has the respect. She has the respect.
I have no hesitation in giving her best actor.
Yeah, okay.
Best actress.
Now, I avoided on my TV appearance, I avoided
Don't say it, best supporting actress.
Right.
Yeah, that was one where the 5 nominees each had a 20% chance of winning. That was a flip a coin on that one.
Oh, yeah.
And what a spectacular surprise to see Jamie Lee Curtis pick it up. I mean, that she was probably the underdog of the 5.
Oh, yeah.
And I was so happy to see that because she has a great body of work, and she gave one of the best speeches of the night.
Well, then let's talk about that a little bit later, because what was our feeling? Who would win it, legitimately win it?
Who would
without
legitimately
sentimental?
win it?
Was that Stephanie from?
No,
everything?
no.
It was Hong Chow.
No, I was really thinking it was probably going to go to
Bassett, right?
Angela
Yes,
Bassett.
You're
yeah.
right, yeah.
For one thing, I think that they would like to have acknowledged Wakanda Forever as for an acting. So I thought that was going to probably push it a little over the edge.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Yeah, and the only thing I could tell everybody, all the audience yesterday, that was a certainty of them all, Guillermo del Toro's
Pinocchio. There were two certainties last night. There was Del Toro's Pinocchio, and there was international feature.
Yes,
All Quiet on the Western Front. Yeah, only once ever when an international film has been nominated for Best Picture did it not win.
I sent you a note though telling you that I did see The Quiet Girl.
Oh, isn't that a wonderful film?
I loved it.
That's my favorite film of the year. That is now my favorite. And folks, it's in limited release. We're going off topic, but go see that movie.
Yeah. Ken is my expert in the subtle, minimalistic film going that I love. And this is extracting meaning as we did from After Sun.
Yeah.
And we just bled that thing dry in getting our meaning because it was so little to offer.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything in Quiet Girl to offer. There's nothing that isn't obvious, but it's so beautiful.
It's a movie of hope and healing, which is a great thing to have right now when we so need it.
Oh, I should have known. All right. People are going to have to go to Back Talk, our podcast experience in WCBE, to hear what we're going to say, particularly about background in this. Now, Ken, what's your advice to our audience?
Look for Oscars in the future to be more focused on independent studios, smaller, less expensive productions. Your Oscar winners are not going to be the big Indiana Joneses and Marvel films. They are going to be these small films that might even get little release or no release. They might go straight to streaming.